Seattle area with, of course, some showers happening into Washington. Now, weather headlines for today. Fall is certainly making a comeback. Seems very chilly this morning. Cool mornings is on the way into our forecast. An extended dry pattern. Yes, this is going to be the next pattern into most of the week and the weekend. Certainly some cooler temperatures in the forecast. Now, tonight's forecast, though, 62 degrees, a few clouds, cool and comfy. And if you're looking in for a day planner tomorrow, well, it's a very beautiful day. I encourage you to get outdoors. Chilly in the morning and then warming up to a pleasant 81 degrees by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's take it back to the desk now with Jack and Ryan.
Thanks, Jason. We're really enjoying those temperatures right now. And actually, autumn is unknowingly the second tornado season, right, Ryan?
That's right, the season of change, and when we get those change, we get clashing of air masses, which typically can render severe weather.
Yeah, you get that warm, moist Gulf flow colliding with the cold, dry air from the northwest, and that's when you get some tornadoes spinning up. So from the second half of October to November is climatologically speaking where we can see some tornadoes starting to form up.
That's right. Early in the fall, these frontal systems are nice. Not a whole lot of punch to them, except for a little bit of cooler, drier air. But as we get later into the season and approach the winter months, a little bit more potent in the possibility for severe weather and even tornadoes.
Exactly. But the good thing about the 2013 season so far, it's been the lowest amount of tornadoes on record. So it's been fortunate of that, but it's always not a bad idea to be prepared. Right, Ryan?
That's right.
Yeah.
But the good news is for the local forecast, which Jack is going to talk about right now, we have no sight of tornadoes in the forecast whatsoever, right, Jack?
Yeah, Ryan, look at this radar. We have no storms in our sight, so a perfect day out there. We have a couple spot-up showers in Perry, but the rest of the county staying relatively quiet. Leon County, Jefferson County, all the way up to Madison County, staying quiet all across the region. That's because that cold front pushed through yesterday. You can see some clouds still trying to linger around Jacksonville, but in the Tallahassee region, we just saw a few clouds in the eastern part of the viewing area. Some storms making their way through central part of the Florida state, but staying relatively quiet here in the Big Bend region. Weather headlines, we have that fall making its comeback. We have some teases of cooler weather a couple past weeks, but we should stay pretty cool for the rest of the week. Cool mornings ahead, and we'll stay dry for the rest of the week. Currently, though, at the airport, we are still up there in the 80s, 83 degrees currently, partly cloudy sky staying above it. That dew point is starting to drop down. It's only at 68, which is a relief from the 70s we've been seeing this whole summer. So it is still a little muggy out there, but not as muggy as we've been seeing this whole summer. Current temperatures all across the Big Bend, 81 in Quincy, 81 degrees in Bainbridge, 85 degrees down in St. Mark. Some warmer temperatures as expected at the Gulf Coast, 79 degrees up in Thomasville, and a cool 77 degrees in Valdosta. I think the more inland we get, we'll see those cool temperatures tonight. Cold front should fully swing out of our area, but that low pressure system will be bringing those northerly winds, which will give us some cool nights ahead and will be relatively clear throughout the night. So when we got those clear skies at night, that's when we get those cooler temperatures. So those early morning lows will be just flirting with the 50s. We could see temperatures in 50s, 57. Pretty nice weather for us. Don't think we'll see any rain in the next few days. Futurecast will tell us that story. We might have some coastal showers out there, but on land we'll stay relatively quiet into Valdosta, Tallahassee, Panama City. So nice weather ahead for us. Beach forecast though, UV index is not that high because we still have some clouds in the area. Northeast wind 5 to 15 knots. Surf kicking up to 2 to 3 feet. That water is starting to dip down into the 80-degree mark. Boating forecast, same story. Those winds are kicking up, though, 15 to 20 knots. Those waves will also be bouncing with all those winds coming from the low pressure system sitting above Jacksonville. 1 to 2 feet. Choppy morning ahead. So if you are going out, be expecting that. You don't want to be that guy who gets motion sickness on the boat. Tonight's forecast calling for a low 62 degrees here in Tallahassee as we make our way closer to the Georgia border. I think we could see the 50s. But I expect us to all see the 50s as we make our way later into the week. A few clouds will be there, but pretty clear sky out there. So a great day to get out there. Tomorrow's forecast will start off cold in the morning again. 63 will be our low. Once we progress into the day, though, we'll see that high reaching about 81 degrees as we make our way back from work. 7-day forecast, you'll see those temperatures start dipping down, especially into the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see lows in the morning about upper 50s. With those temperatures staying around the mid-80s. But we're going to swing things over to Jason as he takes us around the southeast.
Hey, thank you, Jack. In the southeast, well, most of it certainly begins to have a much drier and cooler environment. Yet the Carolinas, though, are still dealing with remnants of Karen. 65, 60 degrees into Woodland North Carolina. And we've seen those cooler temperatures because rain is certainly into the forecast for those regions. Now, current temperatures, though, we did heat up once again. A lot of sunshine in Tallahassee, 83 degrees currently, 78 in Montgomery, Alabama. And most of the southeast, well, mostly full force sunshine, and hence those dew points are beginning to drop. You can see a good overall change, 68-degree dew point Tallahassee. But look all the way to the west, 56-degree dew point in New Orleans. That much drier air is now making its way into the southeast and gradually making it to Tallahassee. I would say by tomorrow we really feel a big difference overall in the air, much drier air. And the water vapor showing where that very dry air is. These darker shades of orange and dark black is the much drier air that the high pressure system is beginning to make its way over into the southeast, and we'll see those much cooler and drier conditions. But however, though, the Carolinas are still dealing with the remnants of Karen. These darker shades of green and those white colors are indication of a lot of moisture in the upper level parts of the atmosphere. So there's still some rain showers going on, especially into the coastal regions of the Carolinas. Now, however, when will that rain go away? Well, that is going to be dependent on when Karen is going to make its way out into the Atlantic finally, maybe next day or two. And the winds, though, like I'm saying, begins to turn more northerly, and that cooler air is beginning to come into the region. And as all those areas begin to shift northerly, we'll have a much stronger funneling of cooler air into the region, specifically, Tallahassee, with lower temperatures into the later parts of the week. Now, silent radar, though, like I said, nothing much going on for southeast except into the Carolinas. We're still dimming the remnants of Karen. Now, we're zooming a little closer at what's happening around here, and we see a lot of coastal showers spewing up into South Carolina and North Carolina, and this is going to be continuing until we see Karen make its way out into Atlantic. Now, that won't happen until the high pressure system takes controls of the region and shifts its way on out for Karen to finally make its way into the Atlantic, and not so many, of course, showers for the Carolinas. Now, Futurecast says as Karen does make its way out, much cooler conditions for the southeast. Tonight's forecast, 62 degrees for Tallahassee, and into tomorrow, once again, heating up as sunshine is in full force for most of the southeast. Let's go ahead and take it back to desk now with Jack and Ryan.
Turn now to the tropics, and the North Atlantic, tropical season hasn't really been all that much. We've had Karen in the past couple days, but that has since moved on, and we'll shift now to the North Indian Ocean, where the second potential storm, tropical cyclone of the year, is on the verge of forming in the North Indian Ocean.
Yeah, you get these cyclones, typhoons, hurricanes. They're all the same thing. They're storms that start developing in the tropics, making landfall depending on their locations when we give them different names. Right, Ryan?
That's exactly right. And unfortunately, the forecast in the North Indian Ocean calls for strengthening, and parts of eastern India could be impacted by a severe storm this week.
So hopefully they're well prepared for that, but we're going to swing things out to the wall with Troy as he takes us around the national segment.
All right, thank you guys. At the desk, we're going to take a look at what's going on across the country as far as your temperatures are concerned. All across the board, in the mid section of the country, 70s and 80s. In the middle sections of the country, 81 degrees in Dallas, so very good temperatures right there, comfortable. Also, a little bit cooler off towards the northeast, so 63 degrees in Boston, being the cool spot in the nation. Speaking of that, these cool temperatures, there are under frost and freeze advisories. Up along the southern tier of New York, there are other frost advisories, and over in New England, freeze warnings. So if you have any plants or any vegetation out there, you want to make sure that you help protect them so they don't get frozen or damaged. But in the meantime, we're going to look at your dew points, very comfortable across eastern sections of the country, the 40s and 50s. And when dew points get that low, that means very comfortable humidity conditions, which is what we like to see this time of year. And also, we're going to shift things nationally just to see what's going on across the country. Dry across the southeast with high pressure dominating, with the notable exception of the remnants in Karen. And that's where I want to spend time right now. Shifting towards the southeast, there it is. This low pressure remnants in Karen just spinning off the Carolinas, so travels along that region, particularly on the 95 quarter in North Carolina, are not going to be the best days. So or if you have any beach plans, traveling to Cape Hatteras, you might want to change that up and just go out to see a movie, because as for the time being, things are not looking so smooth right now. But once again, we're going to see what's going on across the country. Very quiet. Here's our next weather maker in the Northwest. That's going to be given us, that won't be till later in the week before we see regions of that. But speaking in the meantime, that's giving folks in the Northwest not so good weather. Speaking of that, airport delays, 30 minutes in Seattle. So if you have any travel plans, you want to plan accordingly or just check with your air traffic carriers. But also tonight's forecast, very mild at that. Temperatures in the 50s and 40s across the country. So a very, very comfortable and awesome night ahead with folks in the Northwest seeing very, very cold temperatures at that. But in the meantime, as far as tomorrow's forecast is concerned, stepping off the screen, very mild once again across the eastern sections with 79 degrees in Memphis and 81 in the capital city. But let's shift things locally to Jesse. And Jesse, how long is this dry weather going to last?
Well, Troy, as we take a look around the capital city, we can see it's getting pretty clear, and we actually can expect these cooler temperatures to last just a little bit longer during our week. As we take a look at the entire state of Florida, we can see, as Troy mentioned, that those remnants of Karen at 5 miles an hour. Current temperatures in Tallahassee and along on all the entire Big Bend region, 83 in Tallahassee, 81 in Quincy. If you head up to Bainbridge in southern Georgia, you can see 84 degrees. Along the coast, a little bit cooler, 82 in Carabel and 81 in Apalachicola. Now, taking a look at our futurecast for this next several days, we can see the remnants of Karen, moving up along and being situated on the coast of North Carolina, creating a little bit of cool weather as that cool front moves through Florida. And taking a look now as we continue on our radar, we can see lots of rain along for the Carolina region. Putting this into motion, Tallahassee is completely clear and no rain forecasted for the next couple of days. So for tonight's forecast, 62 degrees, which is much cooler than we saw even last week with those lower 70s. So if you're headed out tonight, you might want to grab a light sweater or a jacket just because it will be much cooler as it was early this morning as well. Taking a look at tomorrow's forecast, we're definitely going to be warming back up to 82 degrees tomorrow. It will be cool, however, so if you do have those early morning classes, make sure you are prepared with a light jacket as you might be a little bit chilly in the morning. However, by noontime, we will be warming right back up. So taking a closer look at tomorrow, 8 a.m., as I mentioned, it's going to be a little bit chilly at 63 degrees, but as we head into noontime, going to be warming up to 73, and then about the time you get off work tomorrow, it'll be a hot 81 degrees. So taking a look at our next 7 days, 82 degrees tomorrow with a low of 62 tomorrow night. And for the rest of the week, our temperatures stay mild and our mornings are quite cool. So let's send it back over to the desk.
Thank you, Jesse. We'll have a next story is relating to severe weather that's upcoming this week into the Central Plains and northernmost plains. Now, if I remember, northernmost plains into Dakotas, they had a huge blizzard.
Yes, indeed. 1 to 4 feet of snow that fell in those regions last week. So really just, it's amazing what Mother Nature can do in just a week.
1 to 4 feet snow into portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, really the northernmost states. They had a hint of winter already for them.
With temperatures in the 20s and 30s when the blizzard hit. And now this week they're seeing temperatures as high as in the 70s. So what is going on, Jason?
Certainly, sometimes weather could be bipolar. That is more so less in the northern states. It certainly can be. So that is for sure. But relating to severe weather, though, that new system into the Seattle area is going to be making its way into northern plains, and some severe weather is in store for them.
Yes, and the main threat with the severe thunderstorms is going to be damaging wind gusts and large hail, along with heavy rain. So just make sure you're tuning with your local weather authorities for that. But in the meantime, let's send it out to the ball with Jack.
Jack, there's some storms around the region. Please tell us more about them.
Yeah, guys, actually earlier today in Tampa Bay, we saw a couple water spouts firing up by the Gandy Bridge. So we saw some heavy storms pushing through Tampa. Most of the storms, though, lingering around Jacksonville into Duval County along Ponte Vedra into St. Johns County with those low of ex-Karen, I should say, making its way across the northeast Florida peninsula, so that should soon get out of the way. But look at these temperatures. Jacksonville, rain-cooled 69, 83 for us here in Tallahassee, 83 down in Tampa, 81 degrees in Fort Myers. You see these 80s persisting along central part of Florida, but once we get closer to the southern part of Florida, we still have warm temperatures because we still have that low not quite pushing through West Palm Beach yet, but as we make our way later in tonight, I think that cold front will push through, and those temperatures in West Palm Beach and Miami should start getting with us into those low 80s. Current dew point, just feeling a little more comfortable here in Tallahassee. We're used to those dew points in the upper 70s, but right now it's only sitting at 68 degrees. It's still a little bit muggy, but let that dry air come in. I think Wednesday, Thursday we'll be feeling great out there. So really looking forward to that. Water vapor showing that dry air, these orange colors starting to push through Tallahassee, and that's when our dew points will start dropping down. We'll start feeling really great out there. We still have some cloud coverage over central parts of Florida, though. We have some green showing a lot of moisture in Jacksonville, and that's where we saw the bulk of the storms today. Some greens along Tampa, where we also saw some storms earlier today. Winds variable all across the state, 10 miles per hour out of the north in Jacksonville, 5 miles per hour out of the north in Tallahassee, and we have a heavy wind maker in Orlando, 17 miles per hour out of the north there, but those winds are pretty variable. But as we make our way into the futurecast, we'll see that cold front finally sweep through the whole state, so we'll start dropping down in conditions. Cool nights ahead. We'll have very clear nights as well. We'll have mainly wind flow out of the north, which will bring us some drier conditions, which will be nice for us because we'll wake up, feel great out there. Those temperatures should be in the low 50s as we make our way later into the weekend. But what can we expect for those lows tonight? 63 in Jacksonville, 62 degrees in Tallahassee, 70 degrees in Tampa, so those lows are still in the 70s as you make your way more south down into Florida. 72 degrees is where we're calling for in Fort Myers. Tomorrow's forecast, though, our highs only going to be reaching 81 degrees for us in Tallahassee. Check this out, though. Jacksonville will only be sitting at 75 degrees, so they're really getting that full blast of fall, and I know they've been waiting for it. Rest of central Florida will have to wait a couple more days until those temperatures drop down into the lower 80s. 88 for our high tomorrow in Tampa, 86 in Orlando, 89 in Fort Myers, 87 in West Palm Beach, and 88 degrees in Miami. So those temperatures are still warm on the southern part of Florida, but we're starting to cool off in the north part of Florida, and as the week progresses, I think that's when we'll start dropping down. But we're going to swing things over to Ryan as he takes us across the nation.
That's right. We've got a tale of two coasts for you here in the entire look at the country. We've got cool pocket of air sitting across the Pacific Northwest. That'll be the next storm system coming down into the country. In the middle part of the country, looking pretty warm. We've got a nice ridge of high pressure. The east coast, we've got cool flow out of the northeast, keeping much of the east rather cool and nice for the mid-October. On the satellite and radar, clear across much of the country in the middle part of the country. But here's our next storm system moving into Seattle, coming down the pipeline. That'll be moving into the desert southwest, where they will see the rain potential for their Wednesday, possibly the first of their rainy season. Meanwhile, on the east coast, the big weather story is the ex-Karen, the low sitting off of the southeast coast. That'll be producing rain showers, heavy rain, squally weather for the Carolinas up into the mid-Atlantic, but most of the southeast stays rather dry. We've got much of the deep south showing really dry conditions. Flow, high pressure sitting in control, flow out of the northeast. And then off the east coast, we'll take a closer look at this low. We've got Karen. The circulation is just off of the Jacksonville coast, and these showers will be working their way up towards Wilmington, the Outer Banks. And on the back side of that, we could see some drier air finally funneling its way down into the southeast. Across the entire southeast right now, 83 degrees in Tallahassee, 71 in Atlanta, a cool 64 degrees in Savannah, and only 60 degrees in Wilmington, where we've got those cool, cloudy conditions with the rain offshore. Dew points, well, on the backside of this, we've got dry air working its way in. 57 is your dew point in Atlanta. But across the Florida Panhandle, Jacksonville, we've got some moisture coming around the backside of that low sitting off the coast. And once that moves northward off towards the mid-Atlantic, we'll begin to see drier air working its way in for the rest of the forecast period. So tonight's forecast rather cool with comfortable conditions, a nice change from the warmer temperatures we've been seeing this past week. We'll take a look at tonight's forecast. We've got cool conditions across the central south, 49 degrees in Little Rock, 51 in Shreveport, 61 degrees, a little warmer towards the coast in New Orleans, 55 in Montgomery, 62, a little cooler in Tallahassee. The Florida Peninsula is the only warm spot on the map, 76 degrees in Key West. Tomorrow we'll be warming right back up. Dry air across much of the deep south, 81 degrees in Montgomery as well as in Tallahassee. A little bit more moist and humid across southern Florida, where we've got temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, 88 for you tomorrow in Miami, and a cool 75 feels like fall in Atlanta. We'll take it back to the desk for a look at what's happening around the nation.
Wait, thank goodness that we're seeing these awesome temperatures, because this humidity has really been getting old. Man.
Certainly, the fall is on our doorstep finally. I mean, we've been seeing these very high, like 80 temperatures, and then finally begin to have this cool down, and into the weekend, may see 50s for once.
Yes, but we want to touch base on the blizzard again that hit folks in the High Plains last week, and quite some awesome statistics, isn't it, Jason?
Let's get right into it. South Dakota, I think, is the most interesting statistics. Winds in the region gusted as high as 74 miles an hour in Ellsworth, South Dakota.
Mm-hmm. That is hurricane force, guys, and also 68 miles per hour was the highest wind gust for Rapid City. So blizzard-like conditions all around.
This is why you take those conditions very seriously. It's entitled with a lot of snow and very high winds. In exchange, you see pretty much nothing in front of you. So certainly you saw these blizzard conditions. Snow drifts up to 10 feet in South Dakota too.
And that was just very, very a headache for travels if you're trying to get out just to go to work or just like do any fun activities. Man, just...
Hey, I would say the Rockies, though, at least for snow skiing and all of that, it's in full force right now.
48 inches in Deadwood, South Dakota. That is 4 feet of snow.
In a month of October, that is the largest record now they have for Deadwood, South Dakota.
But in the meantime, we're going to send it back out to the wall with Ryan, or actually we're going to take a look at the National and Tropics. Ryan, how are things looking out there?
We're actually going to look a little bit closer to home, Troy and Jason, but that's okay because we have a clean sweep on the radar. No rain to talk about. The forecast looking really dry for the next couple days, and that's good, right? Well, 87 and 64 go into the books for today, 83 at this hour at the airport on the south side of town, and we're feeling a little bit drier. Humidity down around 60%. Would check out these winds north-northeast at 5. So we're beginning to see a change in the pattern, and temperatures reflect that. We've got cooler temps, 79 degrees in Thomasville, 83 in Tallahassee, 84 in Bainbridge, 85 in Marietta. These temperatures are a little bit cooler than what we had yesterday, so we're beginning to see a trend and a change in the pattern. Off the East Coast, we've got this low at what once was Karen moving off towards the northeast. That'll park itself off the mid-Atlantic coast, and on the back side of that, we'll see some drier air working its way into the southeast and the Florida Panhandle. So the story over the next couple nights is going to be cooler temperatures and drier conditions as we head into the weekend, and we'll begin to see that pattern persist over the foreseeable future, and warmer, cooler actually at night for you. Our rain forecast, we're not going to be dealing with the rain showers. The rain goes off towards the northeast. We'll look at this future cast as that low scoots on off towards the northeast. The state of Florida looking pretty dry over the next couple days, with that flow out of the northeast ushering a little bit of dry air for us in October. If you're headed out towards the beaches, well, we've got windy conditions on the backside of that low, 5 to 15 knots, surf at 2 to 3 feet. Water temperature is still a little bit warm, so not too bad if you're going to head out to the beach. But boating could be a bit of an issue as that low exits off towards the northeast. We've got winds 15 to 20 knots, so choppy morning for you, but calming down by the evening and the afternoon with seas more around 1 foot. Tonight's forecast, 62 degrees in Tallahassee, 60 in Bainbridge, 61 in St. Mark's. We're going to see a little bit cooler air moving into the area over the next several days. Tonight's forecast, we could be dealing with a little bit of cloud cover early, but that'll be burning off tomorrow, where we'll reach back up into the low 80s, so feeling quite cool. So a cool morning, winds out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And here's their 7-day forecast for you. Temps staying pretty cool over the next couple days, relatively speaking, in the low to mid 80s. And those morning lows could be pretty cool, so keep the jacket handy as you walk out the door towards the bus stop and to work for the next week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Ryan. It's certainly a beautiful weekend into the forecast. I mean, we can't expect much better than that. Even temperatures dropping into the 50s maybe into the weekend. But For the Northeast, though, coming up this weekend, not so good weather, Troy.
Yes, and there's going to be a storm system, the storm system in the northwest, that's going to be moving on through. And once that storm system is on through, that's going to give folks in the Delmarva Mid-Atlantic region not so tasty weather.
Certainly is. This will be the case because that storm system is supposed to make its way through the Northeast, and if it is, well, a lot of rain, wind, gloomy conditions, just really not the best forecast you would see, I guess, for the weekend time.
And also factored in that setup, we also be able to have high pressure off towards the Northeast, and that clockwise wind flow is going to bring that easterly flow and the moisture off the Atlantic. So that's also going to you into this unsettled, dreary weather that's expected later this week.
And that is a great meteorologist right there, Troy. Certainly give
Thank
you a
you,
good perspective of
Thank
what
you.
could be happening for Northeast. I love to hear those terms. Relating back to home, though, Tallahassee, a 7-day forecast, sunshine into full force, and look at that, 7 days. I mean, you can't get better than this, Troy.
You know what I'm going to do, Jason? I'm going to go out and play soccer on Landis Green.
You're going to play soccer? That is, I do not blame you one bit. Going last couple looks in, Friday and Saturday. Friday's low 59 degrees into Saturday's low 58 degrees. Now, Troy, that is a cool morning for us.
Yes, and if you have any plans, wouldn't be a bad idea to go out for a morning jog or walk your dog because that is just really good stuff to do. But in the meantime, you can go to facebook.com/FSU Weather or follow us on twitter.com and watch us anytime on livestream.com/FSU Weather.
Guys, send me a tweet of those quotes you're going to have to be bringing out in the next couple of days. I certainly will. I'm student meteorologist Jason Ducker.
I'm Troy Fields. Have a great night.